Port of Rotterdam never stands still. 24 hours a day there is intense activity, on ships, on the quays, on the streets and in offices. And the mayor, Ahmed Abu Taleb, who is of Moroccan descent, is proud of it all.
The most important thing about Rotterdam, of course, it's its port. It's known because of its port, and it's also known because of the high labor productivity of people. This is a city with hard working people. There is one day that people in the port do not work, and that's the New Year's Day. And the remaining days of the year is round the clock. People are working.
Rotterdam is the largest port in Europe. 90,000 people are employed here. It provides an income to 150,000 more and generates almost 10% of Dutch GDP. And it is also Europe's gateway to the world.
Business in Rotterdam is not only unique for the Netherlands, but it's very important for Europe. Rotterdam is the gateway to Europe. Without the Port of Rotterdam, no Mercedes in Germany. The iron ore used in the car industry in Germany arrives to the Port of Rotterdam.
Today's port facilities are located west of the city centre at the mouths of the Rhine and Meuse. As ships grew bigger, deeper shipping channels were needed, and more dikes had to be built to protect the large parts of the city below sea level. Until the 80s, Rotterdam was the largest port in the world. Rotterdam used to be threatened with suffocation by petrochemical plants, fossil fuel power plants, and the polluted tributaries of the Rhine and the Meuse, but these days are now over.
In the last 25 to 30 years, the quality of the air, water and soil has improved dramatically. This is also because the Rhine has become much cleaner as a consequence of the Sandor disaster in Switzerland. That was the low point at which everybody agreed, now something has to change.
The Worldport Center houses the control room which monitors all ship movements. Strict rules are needed because of the enormous volume of shipping traffic.
From here, an agent has to report at least 24 hours before arrival. He has to report to the harbor master that his vessel is coming to Rotterdam. It is in a computer system. And via that computer system, the pilots and tugboats and the boatmen, they know at what time they have to deliver their services. If a ship is leaving the port, they are contacting our coordinators here and they order the ship for departure.
A total of 700 people work solely on traffic management. And it's not always as civilized as today.
You are now here and it is quiet, and that's for us very nice. But when there is dense fog, the visibility is very poor, or there is a real gale blowing, there is a storm, then we are very active. And I'm sorry, I wouldn't be talking to you then at that moment, because then it is very busy here. So that are the times that we are working hardest.
The pilots play an important role in ensuring safety. They're all experienced captains who know the port like the back of their hands. Even after many years at sea, they still enjoy a group of seals that is paying a visit to Rotterdam. On the way to their demanding jobs, they occasionally find a less important task to do, like delivering goodies for a public holiday to colleagues on the base ship Polaris, which is underway far out at sea. Even for this job, the pilots must remain secured by a lanyard. The job is adventurous and not without its risks, but popular with seafarers because it allows a regular family life.
Back to the serious side of life, climbing up the rope ladder of a tanker travelling at full speed. When it's empty, the deck is a long way up. Some jobs are particularly delicate, unhooking the safety guard, crossing to the rope ladder, the first rungs. But it seems to be fun anyway.
Ships which need to be brought in from distances of up to 60 kilometers from the port are guided by helicopter. This is much faster than a boat, and time is short, with some 100 cargo ships entering the port every day, 100 more maneuvering in the harbour, and another 100 leaving it. And the helicopter has another advantage. It can fly in almost any weather, even when ship-to-ship handover is impossible because of stormy seas.
Most of the Port of Rotterdam is leased to private companies. Among them is Falck, a Danish company that specialises in fire and rescue. Extinguishing flames in a burning helicopter or straightforward resuscitation are all part of a day's work. On an area of about 5 hectares in the Port of Rotterdam, Falck gives state-of-the-art training to local and company fire brigades from all over Europe, up to 100,000 firefighters every year.
Also, hier stehen 5 Mann auf 1 Quadratmeter.
For example, the purpose of a dense wall of water is not to put out a chemical fire straight away, but to allow someone to turn a tap in the middle of it. A gas fire should not be put out at all, but parts of the building saved from melting. And then the disaster exercise. A car crashes into tanker trucks. Both catch fire. The instructor mimics a surviving passenger who is desperate for his colleague to be rescued. Despite the seriousness of the work, a fireman is not afraid of fire. He loves it, and a fire instructor is a pyromaniac by profession. But it is clear that managing such a disaster is a complex task, which requires both technical and psychological skills and, most of all, leadership.
Rotterdam is advancing into new dimensions. At the western end of the Maasplaner 1, the last major port expansion, a 20 square kilometre new harbour is being created, the Maasvlakte 2. Since 2004, tons of marine sand have been piled up here. Where the sea was previously 18 meters deep, dams up to 14 meters high and large flat expanses have been created. It's not about excavating a new port out of the land, but wresting it from the sea. This is what fills the project leaders with pride.
On the outer side of the sea defense, we created a beach with facilities. And in summer times, when it's really warm, over 10,000 people visit this beach. So it's also a recreation area. And we are very proud of that. I think it's important for the future of the port that you invest in both, because that gives us the license to operate and the license to grow.
Besides the beaches, a breeding area for seabirds has been created, in particular for seagulls. However, whether the birds will appear as promptly and in such great numbers as the bathers remains to be seen. Carpets made of wire mesh and seagrass are being installed on the entire harbour bed to prevent propellers stirring up the sand. You can tell by the commitment of those involved, from the captain of the old-timer tourist boat to the project manager René van der Plas. They all know that they are part of a unique project.
Well, what makes it unique is a few things. It is its location, because it's very close to the sea. So the distances for ships to sail into the port is very short, so it only takes a very short time. That's very special. The second thing is that it is a very deep port. It will have a draft of up to minus 20 meters. So the biggest container ships are able to sail in any time of the day, any time of the year. That's quite unique. And what's very special about this area is that we made a lot of land available for customers. And that's what Second Maasvlakte is all about. This is the future of the Port of Rotterdam for the next 20 to 30 years. So it gives us the necessary space for growth.
The costs are estimated at 3 billion euros. 700 million is being contributed by the state. The rest must be financed through port fees and customer funds. The first customers, 2 container terminal operators, are already extremely busy with the new development. By 2014, their fully automated terminals are scheduled to become operational. And this is what Maasvlakte 2 will look like in its completed form in 2035. Mayor Abu Talib will then probably no longer be in office, but the Rhine and Meuse will continue to supply the people of Rotterdam with their water.
The Catholics are expecting a lot of good things to come from Rome, and the Muslims are praying every day towards Mecca. And I think that the people of Rotterdam should pray every day towards the River de Maas, because it gives us so many wealth in this city. So the destiny of this city is well connected to water.
Rotterdam, a large city with a large harbour. But much more, it's the entrance to Europe, and Europe's gateway to the world.